Food and Beverage Magazine Live, bringing food and beverage to life. With your hosts, James Beard Award winner Jennifer English and Food and Beverage Magazine publisher Michael Politz. Featuring leaders in the hospitality, branded food and beverage, and CPG industries, many of whom are Jennifer and Michael's friends in the business. For an informal and informative conversation where friends in the business share the latest intel, ideas, and best practices. Live, juicy inside scoop from the tastemakers, newsmakers, bread bakers, drink shakers, spoon lickers, clam diggers, farms, foodies, and friends of the food and beverage magazine world. Here are your hosts, Jennifer English and Michael Politz.
Somebody say Michael Politz.
The Michael Politz.
Ooh, it's a
Not
wild
just
day.
Michael Politz.
It's a wild day out west today.
It is well, you know what we have? We have incredible forest fires.
Well, let me tell you this. I went to the doctor this morning. And I enjoyed it. Of course, I love it. I try to go 4 times a year. You know what he says to me? Can I see you in 6 months? And I'm just like, bro, I love coming here. I mean, there were people there. You had to have your mask on, and they took your temperature, and they asked you if you had diarrhea, and if you had shortness of breath, and if you had what was the other? And if you were nauseous. And I said yes, as usual. And she looked at me like I was crazy, and I said, "What? I'm always yes. Is that not normal? Because I'm Jewish." She said, "Oh." Then she checked the Jewish box and said, "Okay, you can go through."
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's funny.
No, you don't get that joke?
I think that's
true.
very funny.
She was true, and then they ask you to go and punch your stuff in and touch something, and then you got to squirt. I mean, they're like, it's creepy, but it was fun. Then the doctor shakes my hand like raw. I'm like, people don't do this anymore, bro. Like, would you shake your doctor's hand?
I don't know what the visit was for in the first place.
It was a proctologist. Would you shake your proctologist's hand?
With or without the glove?
He had no glove. I said raw, no glove.
Oh, then I'm shaking all day long. With the glove, I'm going to think twice.
Yeah, it was a weird day, right? Like, that's what the morning started like.
It's been a really weird day, though. We're in this weird time.
Well,
creeping up on National Rosé Day later in the week. We're going to be sipping rosé, right?
You can sip rosé all day.
Well, some people can. That's not my bag.
I don't like.
I love rosé, though. I think it's going to be.
Cheeks are. Does anyone ever told you your cheeks are a little rosé?
No, but you know what? We have an amazing lineup of guests all week long.
It's like vaudevillian show today, I think, isn't it?
Well, today so we have a lot of friends in the business.
We do?
And that's sort of like a theme through everything that we do. When you and I were like first talking about doing a show together, and we were going to do a show where your tagline was, just tell them I sent you, because everybody knows who you are out in Las Vegas. Just tell them I sent you, and that'll be what you need to get in the door.
I always say that. I always say membership has its privileges too.
Right.
I say that to by people that want free articles and the 12 million readers that I have. But I'm like, you got to buy, you got to pay. You got mouths to feed. They got mouths to feed.
So
speaking of mouths to feed, let's talk about Leela.
Well, one of the things that we do is we reach out to our friends in the business, and it almost doesn't matter what industry you're in or what part of the world you're from. You have become an online communicator in a way that never was before. You know, when we first saw the Jetsons with those telephones that had screens where you saw the person you were talking to, it seemed so.
Do you think that'll ever happen? Do you think there'll ever be a telephone that you can see who you're talking to?
Not like
crazy,
this.
Right?
I know, crazy.
Oh, yeah.
It seemed, when we were kids, it seemed so far away, but here we are. And so now we're all communicating in a very different way.
I just want to say it was much farther away for you than it was for me.
That's true.
No,
I waited longer.
No, it's not.
I waited much longer. So, but seriously, listen.
Yeah.
There are people who are trained professionals that we know who are experts in communications, in media training, how to make the Zoom work for you, how to set up your camera or device so that it looks good. What about lighting?
Is that their occupation? They get paid to do that?
Yes. And you know what industry we're also really sort of tapping into right now are the performers. So the Screen Actors Guild and the Federation of Television and Radio Artists, the AFTRA, SAG-AFTRA, they're often talked about in the same realm.
Who's the president of Screen Actors Guild right now?
Who is?
I'm wondering if you know.
Well, we're going to.
I think it's Gabby. I may be wrong, but I think it's Gabby.
Your Gabby.
9210. Well,
I know.
She's not my Gabby. But
she's everyone's Gabby. But we'll find out, because what we did today was we have reached out to our friends in the business that can help turn us all into the best version of our online communicating selves we can be, with the kind of tips about lighting and microphones and posture and sound and everything you could imagine needing to be a really good performer. Because now it's not enough that you have good ideas to participate in meetings. You know, what you have to do now is you have to have the whole package in a way you didn't have to before.
And so, I thought this was a trick because there was something wrong with me. I thought you were like, I'm going to bring on an expert to show you what you're doing wrong. So let's bring her on.
Leila von Singelhoff is here with us to tell us whether, in fact, we are the best versions we could be, or maybe she'll even have a tip for us, and to talk about how the pandemic has in fact affected the production world.
Let's bring Leila on.
SAG and AFTRA union performers and the production of shows. I mean, we've got a lot to talk about because.
You think she's related, by the way? Is she related to the Dancers Hall family?
I'll let you have the first question.
I don't want to ask. It'll embarrass me. But
welcome.
Hello, Michael. Hello, Jennifer.
Oh, Leila. Ooh, excuse us.
Glamorous, gorgeous. She does a great deal for the unions in the community, and she is also somebody we would turn to say, can you coach the best out of us?
Well, thank you. Yes, I have been in SAG-AFTRA since the early 80s. That is how long I've been in the business. I have done a lot of performing, but I've actually done more work for our industry, our union. I am a board member of the Southern Arizona chapter. I help maintain regulations and rules that we have to abide by in our business. And right now we are on a little bit of a hiatus right now during this pandemic. So, but we are still in contact and are having our monthly board meetings and keeping everything in check on the professional end.
Right.
And I have 3 productions going on myself because I am a producer, director, and editor myself, not just an actor, but I do multiple jobs. And I have 3 and 4 productions, union productions going on right now. And we even decided to use Zoom with our 3D imaging. And we've been doing rehearsals on Zoom, and we're about to shoot on Zoom too. So, because
let's talk about SAG and AFTRA and what the unions are and how they factor into the vital role that they play in the entertainment industry.
Well, for instance, Arizona does not have a state initiative plan, tax incentive plan, because like most states, they have 20 to 30% off your taxes that you shoot here.
Okay.
But last year when I got onto the board, I made some inquiries on how to get our incentive back into place. And I said, let's go around to local businesses. Our, like Ken's Hardwood Barbecue is a great place that I started with. You know him well.
Yep.
And he got with me with his advertising. And I said, we need to go one step further, not just with advertising. We need to create our own incentive plan for SAG, like 20% off at every restaurant, every place that we can find, like Old Tucson.
Right.
I had the manager and stunt coordinator Rob Jensen on my show the other day, and we were talking about incentive plans for statewide filming, like giving a 20% to 30% on, shooting at Old Tucson and using their facilities and costumes and their gunnery and everything like they have that, they have a livestock there also you can rent for movies. And, that's what we try to do is go around and ask, local businesses, would you like to give 20% to SAG? We only have maybe 50 to 100 here locally.
Well, let's talk about what SAG and AFTRA are nationally, because I think some people might not know about the union of professionals who perform in all forms of entertainment. Can you tell us what SAG is?
Screen Actors Guild. And AFTRA, we are all together as two different unions came together a couple years back and got together and decided we'll work better together than apart. Having extras and other people that are into the industry, like stunt coordinators, they are sorely misrepresentative in our business, excuse me. And they're not even sectioned off and get special treatment. So union is allowing everybody to get paid what they should get paid and be fair. When SAG goes to war against you about a certain issue, like sexual harassment was the bigger issue of lately. And it's been a hard way to get around in Arizona because it's a right to work state. But we've kept a lot of bad players out due to the new strong control of Gabrielle Gutierrez, that she's moved us forward from, yes, she's still on from 90210.
Yes, I know her well. One of my best friends is on that show. Ian, are you watching? Ian, come on board.
I love her dearly, and I'm glad what she has done for our union of lately, and she's boosted us forward in a way that we have not been able to in the past. And with this new coronavirus, she has kept us quite aware and up to date on what is going on in LA and in here. See, we just went up physically by SAG because we're a right to work state. Arizona, Florida, and Georgia just got permission to go back up and start filming. But we're under heavy restrictions with, hand sanitizers, gloves, and masks.
Let's talk. Oh, look at me. I look like you. Now, am I doing this right? I want to make sure that I've got my background correct, my lighting. It's natural light.
Actually, right now, your background is a black background, and you had a kitchen background just a minute ago, but you've learned how to use the virtual background imaging.
I just want to make sure that I'm what's the word? I'm swarthy. You know what I mean? I'm going to be out there. And then Jennifer sometimes talking to Jennifer is like talking to a brick wall. Right, Jen?
I love her brick wall. It's actually quite complimentary to her.
With my brick. Hey, you guys,
let's get some tips, Jen. Let's get some tips.
I have to say, Lou is very good about coming today, because in the hospitality industry, when you're on the floor in the front of the house, welcoming guests behind the bar, a lot of people will tell you that that's like being on stage or you're performing. And there was a time when the restaurant business was just considered another form of entertainment. And you would have to go out for the evening and you'd spend as much money going to a play as you might go to dinner. And you expected it to be a show of its own. And so there's a certain amount of awareness that people in the restaurant business have about being sort of performers. However, when we are all thrown online like this, and Can
I say something right there on that subject?
Yes.
Because I know you don't like to be interrupted, but seriously, this is a serious true thing. I know I've been joking around a lot today. But in this book, Food and Beverage Magazine's Guide to Restaurant Success, right here, that happens to be coming out on June 30th, 2020, one chapter, when I talk about opening your restaurant, It is act like you're in a movie. Act like it's a production. Where did Jennifer go? She's like hiding now. Act like it's a production, right? So there's a whole section, couple chapters on. All right, now you're casting your team, right? What do you want them to do when you're casting them? Your kitchen staff, because isn't going into a restaurant a little bit like theater, right? Think about it as like a theater, right? Who's the greeter? What's that person saying when you first walk up? So it's like, ooh. What are you saying, right? What do you want your waiters to be like? What's the manager look like? You in your head already know these things when you're opening a restaurant, but people don't think, like, let's just think of it as you're casting. When you're really hiring, but it's like you're casting. And I would not sit on the casting couch like Jennifer asked me to constantly. Go ahead.
You know, I have to say, I was in the food business when I was growing up. I was a hostess with the mostest. And it's very important to have an ambiance when a restaurant, you know, when you have the first person that greets you, it's your first expectation of what you're going to have on your plate. So if you have a good hostess that's welcoming you in and presenting, we have these lovely specials tonight, and we have a lovely bar setting, and we have these lovely wines. It is like acting, because you have to present yourself accordingly to what you're trying to present. Food, a beverage. I was a Budweiser girl. I knew how to present beer.
So, Michael, we've got Leila with us in the hopes that she can take all of us in all dimensions of the food and beverage and hospitality industry that may not have as much actual broadcast experience, because we've all become broadcasters. Bartenders are now teaching bartending classes online. Chefs are now teaching cooking classes online. Everyone has a life that now involves exactly what we're doing here. And so we reached out to a pro, our friend in the business, Leila, about how to do this the best way possible. Do we need a special camera, or can we use the camera in our computer? Do we need a special microphone? Or should we use the microphone in our computer? What are the things we can do to enhance the storytelling and the quality of the storytelling of the communication that we have to be doing, whether it's a Zoom meeting or customer service? Leila, where should we start when we're exploring how to do this as well as we can do this?
Well, I have to say, a lot of computers have 720 DPI, and that is a very low pixelization. And now we're moving into 4K and 6K. And in 6K, we can see our pores. So we can see every little delicious bite of food. And the thing is having a clear picture. And some new modern computers have a better camera than most. Right. So if you have a good modern computer that has a 1080p, then you're going to get a good quality picture. But as for streaming, as we go into the next generation of streaming live, we're going to get into 4K and 6K. So
what are you using right now? Because it's really lovely.
Thank you. It's a 1080p Pro Logic, ProCam, because I have to do videotaping for digital effects on Zoom right now, since we have social distancing. So I've had to redo everything from studio. I've moved to my house. So we've been shooting rehearsals and shooting commercial clips for our movies and our trailers, so we can move forward and still stay socially distancing. As we move forward in my studio, we're getting an ionizer air machine, putting in our office. So not just hand sanitizer, masks, and gloves, but actually cleaning the air itself, and keeping it clean.
So Leila, let me ask you, you've got a camera in front of you. I've got one in front of me, and so does Michael. So does everyone who's getting on either a Zoom meeting or StreamYard, which is the service we're using. What tips can you share with us from a lifetime in broadcasting, behind and in front of the camera, to enhance our understanding and relationship to being quote unquote on camera. For a lot of us, this is the first time we've been on camera. What kind of on camera tips can you share with us about this moment in time where we're all kind of on camera?
Well, women have it easy because we already do makeup. We already put on makeup. But the guys, I find, have it a little harder. And they don't know about a little bit of powder or a little, to keep it not so shiny. Because the higher you go in pixelations, like 4K, shiny is your demon. Matte is your friend. Keeping yourself matte, because your lipstick right now, your makeup right now, it's very beautiful. Your glasses right now, I actually can see you watching me through your glasses. So,
well, I'll take them off, but I do like.
There you go. Take off.
I like being able to see you, though. So those are good tips.
Me too.
So how do we approach? Are there checklists of things that make us camera ready? Am I camera ready? Are you? Obviously you are. But is Michael? What do we do to become camera ready?
Well, I have to say, because we're dealing with high pixelization, we want to keep it less busy in the background. See how I have it black and dark, and all you see is beautiful me. See, look at how Michael is right now. He's got a great lighting on him, but I would use a little bit of powder on that forehead. I would definitely bring a little bit of his eyebrows out, so I can see his eyes more.
He's got beautiful eyes.
Yes, he does. But if he has a little bit darkened of his eyebrows, those are the frames of the wonder of the eyes. So you've got to have a little bit of dark.
Leila, if I did that, I would look like Groucho Marx, You Bet Your Life. If I was to put eyebrows on, I would be like, well, it wouldn't work. It would. Leila looks like Linda Ronstadt in that yellow top, ready to go with her hair.
I know, she does look like Linda Ronstadt. I love that.
I've been looking for Linda Ronstadt pictures, but I can't see.
You know what? I'm trying to get her out of her cave because she too is a SAG member, but she, like every other celebrity that lives here in Arizona, likes to stay in hiding. But I would love to always reach them out and say, come join us, because I'm trying to build a conservatory. Before this pandemic, I had just got a small little stipend amount from our national board to start our conservatory so I could start classes, so I could help our elderly, because we have elderly that are on IMDb that are incorrect. Ooh.
That's Linda, Leila, but people would think it was you, wouldn't they?
There you go.
See what I'm saying? Let's see. Let's do it again.
Well, Linda,
okay.
I miss her long hair back in the day, which it used to wish.
That's her Stone Pony's hair. Hey,
yeah.
guys, Leila, there's a camera in front of us, and I want to watch you talking to me because that's how it feels like I want to be with you. But the reality is it looks better if I'm not looking at you. How do I deal with that? Do I look at you or do I look at the camera? Do I look past the camera? What are the tricks of the trade that will help me be more engaging to watch and to communicate with you?
Well, I have to say, of years of training, looking into the camera's eye is the best part of communicating. You don't feel like you're communicating because you're looking through the camera's lens, but after years of training, you start to realize that is the best view of you, is to look down the barrel of the gun.
Yeah. People are getting accustomed to this in actual productions. It's the modality. But in the shooting of a TV show or a movie, looking into the camera, I don't have to see the other actor or the other interviewer because they're usually in the space with me. How do I adjust whatever's happening to be in this kind of Zoom or StreamYard communication?
You want to hear my little secret?
Yeah.
I have kids, and since I have to deal with children, little googly eyes right above the camera eyes really helps you focus on the eyes of the camera.
Oh,
honestly, that's what I do. because the camera's eye, you can't see because it's blackened in, it's darkened in.
Right.
And as such, it's very hard to figure out where to look, like you said. But
we have a question.
Googly eyes right above them. It helps me focus exactly where to look.
Jen, just follow my googly eyes. We have a question from Carolina Angulo. Maybe it's Angulo, huh? Is there a specific app for virtual backgrounds?
Well, I have to say, for virtual backgrounds, I like making them myself.
What does that mean?
Well, I can make a multiple of. See, as an editor, I use Final Cut Pro or Adobe Premiere. And
Which are software programs or apps that let you manipulate the images that become the finished show or product.
Exactly. And see, like with my one I just created, I took a picture of a background of a beautiful scenery of, cactuses with the sunset. Mm-hmm. And I put my old projector camera in the shot and digitalized that. And then I started manipulating the movement of the background of it. And it looks like it's actually moving background, and it's actually a commercial still, See,
Layla,
he's doing it right. Hold on. Wait a minute. Wrong way.
Other way. Other way.
There we Wait a minute. That way. That way. Backwards. See, that way he's already doing it. He's learned on how to do it because he's the controller. He is the man, the producer of the show. So he's in control of all of the background viewing. Can you control Jennifer's background?
No.
See, that's the difference. On Zoom, we can everybody can utilize their own backgrounds. Okay? So here's
a gassy one. Here's my green screen after I eat beans.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Jen, do you like this one?
I do, but I want to follow up on that. So if you're using Zoom or StreamYard, they have built-in tools within the software that lets you be on that platform to control the background. I don't need to go get a separate piece of software. So to Carolina's question, it should be embedded into whatever as a tool in whatever you're using.
Well, not necessarily, because Zoom and Skype and what you guys are using, StreamYard, each of these different platforms have a different stream platform, okay? And they have different tools and different apps that they apply to. I guess StreamYard allows Mike to be able to control his background, but it doesn't allow him to control anybody else's background. Right. Skype allows you to control everybody's background and what you're seeing. They have the same kind of like format setting like you guys have. It all depends on the producer package that you get with your streaming package. And then on top of it, you got to make sure your streaming is a good streamline, because in the past, Comcast has had issues with their internet bouncing between modems. So you always have to lock in your modem, which one you're using. Like if you're using 2.4 or 5 gig. Preferably a 5 gig is better.
Leila, I want to ask you the question. I've seen on TV people looking down into their cameras, looking up into their cameras. What's the optimum placement of your device for camera position for creating something like this?
The camera should be looking eye to eye to you. If so, when you're doing something like this is a conference room setting filming style. So we have to rely on the box set of what we're in. Okay, right below the breast area and no more than an inch above the head. You guys are appropriately set already. You guys have your natural form fitting. You don't want to be too close, but you don't want to be too far away either.
What's the rule of thumb in radio? We use you should be about one hand width away from the microphone.
Exactly.
What do you use in this format?
At least an arm length. An actual seat, because where my hands are right here, the camera is see, yours is right there perfectly. Mike's is a little farther away from him.
Well, I can project. I've had training. It's very different between Jennifer and myself.
Well,
I've been trained. I've been trained by the best. There's
the great thing is, the farther the way you back, the smaller you look.
Oh, you little thing, you.
So that's a good trick to keep your figure, because the farther you go back, the skinnier you look. But the thing is it's all about the solid colors, because if you had a solid color on, see, Fila right now would have an issue unless they're sponsoring you.
They should be.
Well, the thing is that we have to, in the union world, make sure everybody's T's are crossed and I's are dotted when it comes to sponsorship. So when you move forward, a good ring light. I have a good ring light right now on me, and shutting off all the other extra light around you is always so good for having a virtual background. I have a green screen too, but it doesn't do as well as a white background on these recordings, because camcorders have like your phone, they have a certain way of gripping you for green screen. So that's why you want to get something at 1080p, you know.
Layla, what's the most common mistake non-professionals make when thrust into this professional broadcasting type environment?
Oh, I'm glad you asked that, because that's the one thing that I tried to teach others when doing this business, is knowing your interviewer, getting their picture, getting their bio, pre-blasting them on Facebook, on YouTube, Twitter, Snapchat, every different social media outlet you can tie to your company. You want to hit every single one of them a week or two ahead of time to build up your viewers that want to view the person that you have, that you're interviewing. Because like with me, I have Jean Carlos coming on in a couple weeks, and he just finished doing The Mandalorian.
Ooh, I love John Carlos.
And see, that's what I'm saying. You want to blast them. You want to get them out there and let everybody know that, you know, who your viewers are wanting to watch. For the last couple weeks, I've been getting these really great directors of independent film winners. Russell Emanuel right now has won almost 45 awards as a director in the indie category. And I have been having him on several different times because he is amazing. He just keeps winning awards in his category. So, you know, we as the general public need to hear about them.
Layla, one of the things before we let you go, I wanted to make sure we gave you a chance to talk about something that I think is really interesting. It seems like things like HGTV and the Food Network are creating pandemic film-it-yourself shows. Comic Amy Schumer and her husband, Chef Fisher, they're filming a show at their house during the pandemic, and they're self-filming. There are shows on HGTV where it seems like it's like a do-it-yourself kind of show. We watch the Today Show, or we watch CBS every morning, and, you know, Gail's at her house and Tony DeCopel's at his house. We're getting used to this.
Why aren't you?
What's the word from your industry, from the unions, about what it means? Is this part of our forever future?
Yes.
Is there some part of this that's inevitable?
This is why I wanted to talk with you about you producing your own cooking show. Because I think you should have your own little show incorporated with your show that you have here with Food and Beverage. I feel that you should do an inner piece on the side, like Saturday Night Live. because I was thinking you can incorporate a side piece where you could already pre-tape it and air it on your show as a segment piece. Because I think you have a nice kitchen. I know you do. And I know you have a really big spoon that you really love to use. And I was going to help you build your own TV show around, this. Because we can do this live, just like this, or pre-tape.
And the show's called Your Big Spoon.
Yeah, her big spoon.
That's a big ass spoon.
Big ass spoon.
And
is this too close to the microphone to be talking?
Yes.
My friend Ted.
You are like me. You have a big booming voice, and the farther you are away from your mic, the less you have distortion.
Booming.
But in all seriousness, it feels like I'm watching shows that are being, pandemic produced. What does that do to the industry? And I'm going to assume that Amy Schumer, movie star Amy Schumer, is a SAG member. So how does all that work? Can you just throw on the Zoom and start broadcasting even if you're a union member?
Well, yes, because it's you personally promoting yourself.
Okay.
So in our business, we have this little clause in our contracts with SAG. SAG demands you to get paid. Okay, it helps you get an outline and an understanding of how much you should get paid. And everything that you do, like if they use your car, if they use your likeness, if you want to do nudity, you get a huge bump in pay if you're a SAG member, right, versus being a non-union person.
See, Jennifer, you said go topless, and I said no. But now if I knew we would get more money, maybe I will.
We would have gone that way.
Maybe I will. Time to spoon with Jennifer English.
The thing is about being SAG is being about a brother and sister group of fellow actors and entertainers that are striving to be paid. We perform this great service of entertaining you, and we should be paid by that service. And when we give our all makeup, all of us, our souls, our heart, our voices, and we give that up, we shouldn't do it for free. We should get paid. Even if it's a hat on the ground and coins are being tossed in it, we should get paid. But as entertainers, we have to self-brand ourselves like you guys are doing. If you do not take the moment and self-brand yourself, somebody will come along and self-brand you.
Ooh, that might feel good, Lena. That might feel good, little self-branding. Jennifer?
And you want to brand yourself. You want to make who you are the brand, okay? And if you let somebody else brand you, you become their brand, not
their
your
property.
Brand. Yeah.
So Layla,
and that's why I'm branding Jennifer, because she's my property.
Oh, really now?
Yes. Now you know my secrets. They're out.
But Leela, you've got to recognize that Michael's a star. He's got it. He's got a unique brand of it, but he's got it.
It with an SH.
Well, the great thing about radio is we didn't see our faces before, but now we have this. We have to go that one up. And I hate to say it, but I think he would clean up very nicely. Put on a nice shirt, put on some makeup, and I swear I think he would be absolutely gorgeous.
Well,
he has great
voice.
That's the key to this job. You could have the best face in the world, but if you don't have a voice to carry your message, it doesn't matter how good you look.
Well, I am going to say that I was trained by a man who was very big in television. Jennifer, would you say?
Yes.
And he's a journalist.
He was pioneering, actually. He pioneered an entire category of broadcasting.
And his name was Robin Leach. Are you familiar with him?
Oh, I love Robin Leach. I got to meet him once a long time ago, about 20 years ago, but he was a wonderful man.
Yes, he was in my book, the last sentence says, champagne wishes and caviar dreams in honor of Robin.
Well,
he was very influential.
He was an amazing man, and honestly, he was ahead of his time.
Yeah.
He could have done this, what we do with Zoom and Skype and all of this. He could have taken it to a whole nother level.
And by the way, he would have if it was available.
He would have. I could have. That man was so brilliant. It's like talking to Alice Cooper. Have you ever talked to Alice Cooper? He's a brilliant man. And
Funny you say that.
Huh?
Funny you say Alice Cooper, because you know who Alice's manager is, Jennifer.
No.
Chef Gordon.
I did
who happened to write the endorsement on the back of my book. Hello, back. Why is this conversation going back to my book? It's crazy what's happening. Yeah, Alice is amazing. He's amazing.
We are a small community, aren't we?
Yes, he is amazing, man. He needs to read my book because I heard Cooperstown closed.
Well,
I'm so sad about that.
You know, Michael, one of the things that is bound to happen is that I'm seeing restaurants and restaurateurs all over the world create virtual dining experiences. And
charities too. Charities, they're saying you spend $1,000, you get this enormous meal from Honey Salt here in Vegas, and you get cocktail kits that you can make your own, and you're just donating to this congressperson or senator. It's insanity. I see it happening, and they're doing it. They're on Zoom.
But then you get together with people, and so all of the tips that Leela's sharing with us to enhance our awareness and our presentation. You know, for most of us, we might wear a little street makeup, but that's not the same thing as broadcast makeup. We know what bad makeup looks like. What does good makeup look like for this kind of activity? And where can you show us?
Groucho Marx. I told you, Groucho Marx. Groucho Marx.
Well, I always like to do a spray makeup because it less on your fingers and it's more sanitizing. So spray makeup of any sort. I love Temp 2. Temp 2 is one of my favorite because a makeup artist back in the day introduced it to me when
how do you spell that? Michael will find it for us and grab an image of it if we can find it.
I can't do it that fast, but I use Temp 2 as well as my spray. Yes, because you know the artist in the house, she uses Temp 2 sometimes. Don't you use Temp 2?
I was on Babylon 5 and they had to spray.
I knew I recognized you.
I'm the Naron on the front of the cover.
Jennifer, what's Babylon 5?
Not very many people know what Babylon 5 is, so thank you. I was a Naron and I was a security officer, and that was my very first thing that I actually got an A-rated union lines on. Here, the body's over here. Captain, the body's over here.
Will you tell everyone what Babylon 5 is? Because not everybody will know.
Babylon 5 was like Star Trek back in the day. It was actually going up against Star Trek Next Gen at the time. It was a very fun show. It was just as crazy and sci-fi experience, I should say. But it was on the back burner of the Universal lot. So it was a great time of my youth.
Who was the star of that?
Huh?
Was Kevin Sorbo? Was Kevin the star of that? Who was the star of that?
Actually, Sorbo? It was the guy that was Kaniki on Grease. I can't remember his name right now.
Oh, he passed away. Jeff Conaway.
Yes. And I absolutely loved working with him. And then when he wasn't able, Gary, oh gosh, I'm drawing a blank on names right now, but Gary took over for him as captain. And if I could think of Gary's last name, he lived in my neighborhood in Studio City because I lived right across the street from the Samuel French bookstore for the longest time. Yeah, well, I used to work for Dramalog that is now called Backstage back in the day, you know, and it was just posting up castings on an actual board with, little pins before you go into CBS Radford. CBS Radford has changed a lot too now. since I haven't been up there. I went by and saw it, and it's so different. But I used to live in Studio City, and it was a lot of fun because George Clooney lived up the hill, and David Boreanaz lived across the street from me. So I really enjoyed my youth of my 20s and being bulletproof.
Layla, before we thank you for your generosity of time being here with us. But before we let you go, and I want to make sure when you were mentioning something, it's as easy as literally clicking on a Zoom link to make a show today.
Oh, yes.
What are some of the things that because if somebody wants to avail themselves of this low threshold moment to get into Hollywood, let's call it, anybody can get into Hollywood today by virtue of doing a few clicks. What are some of the things that you want to make sure people are aware of if they want to have their own show? What should they do and who should they reach out to?
Well, today is not about Hollywood. Today it's a global market of entertainment. If you're an entertainer, if you're a singer, you can play an instrument. If you have something you want to teach, if you're a scientist. I mean, I had a scientist come to my workplace and wanted to do a video on what he does for a living. And I can't say what he does for a living because it's top secret because he works at Raytheon. But
cool.
Everybody today can be a celebrity if they have a cause, a meaning. But the thing is about being a performer, it's lending your voice and your face to a cause. And no matter how much you want to entertain people with whatever you have to have a charity or some kind of cause behind whatever you're doing. Because if you're doing it just solely for yourself, people will take notice that you're selfish that way. So that's when they take you outside the box. They want to know what you believe in, what you care about. Do you care about animals? Do you care about the environment? Do you care about protesting right now? Do you care about people making the perfect mask? That is the new #1 statistic online right now, is how to make the perfect mask. Do I use carbon fibers with charcoal? Do I use material that overlaps? So today is about how do you teach others what you know and what you want to pass on.
Right.
So what do you want to pass on? Yes, great product. Love it. It has a smooth finish and it's very organic and vegan. So if you know what, if you want an organic finish, definitely use Temp 2.
Well,
Jennifer, I'm going to get you some Temp 2. I think you're beautiful, though.
Honestly, baby, I need something. Because I'm a girl with a face for radio.
I have a face for radio.
Oh, boy. You guys both suck because you guys are very good-looking individuals. You just need to put on your best clothes like you were going on the best hot date.
This is about hanging out with our friends. Jennifer said, don't wear a tie. It's about hanging out with your friends.
You didn't hang out with your best friend. You want to look good.
It's true.
Not so much. You don't know my friends. You might know one of them if you lived in Hollywood 20, 30 years ago. I'll tell you that. I
probably did because I used to run with a very big crowd back in the day. You know, I used to go
at the Rainbow and the whiskey.
Yes, and the coconut teaser.
Well, Vince might have been you might have been knocking on Vince's door back in those days.
Well, who are we talking about? Vince Neil?
That's right. How did you know?
Yeah, my girlfriends used to date all of them. Everyone since through Poison, Duffy, Rat, all of them. I used to.
Well, she seems like a fun girl.
Actually, the funny part is I used to run around with the people that clothed Cher from Chrome Hearts back in the day. So we used to party back in the day with all those heavy hitters. I was, I don't know, I used to be a big traveler of the rocker crowd, you know, Iron Maiden, all of them. So I've had my fair share. But then I settled down with, you know, more of the Sting and Peter Gabriel crowd. So, yeah, I definitely have had my fair share, and I know David Spade. I used to be on the Just Shoot Me show back in the day. So
my friend Brian was on that show.
I used to love that. I started that show.
Do you know Brian Posehn? Do you know Brian? Brian Posehn? Yeah.
What did he do?
He was on Just Shoot Me. Wasn't he the male guy?
I swear to God, I knew everybody because we were all like a family, and I was on that show for 7 years. So,
wow.
I was on it from the pilot all the way to the very end, and I loved every single person on it. Laura Sancomo and Wendy and
Wendy Malick.
Wendy Malick, OMG, the woman of
George Siegel. Wasn't George Siegel on that?
Yes. Oh my God, I love Georgie.
Patton himself. Patton himself.
Rico was one of my favorites because the funny thing is Rico was working on the pandemic movie when we were on Shoot Me. So when he was working on pandemic and coming back, and he was like, "Oh, that was so hard. Oh my gosh." And I loved working with that cast. I was very lucky, and I even got to work on Naked Truth. I don't know if you remember back in the day. I'm an old school girl, so I don't know if you remember my mentor and I just absolutely love him. But Bernie Burlstein and Brad.
Come on, stop. Brillstein Gray. Stop. Mark works there. Gervitz. You know Mark Gervitz? My friend Mark Gervitz is there. He's a partner at Brillstein Gray.
Yeah,
all right, let's keep moving. Let's get out of here. Name dropping. People are going to get confused.
The funny thing is these name droppers, they don't know who we're talking about because it was 20, 30 years ago. And today, all of those heavy hitters are different places. Like George Siegel's on a total different show. Jennifer Lewis is all on a different show. Everybody's on a different show now. But, the fun part is that we're moving ahead. Everybody is moving ahead.
What's your email address? The audience wants to know your email address.
And because you do consulting and coaching, we should tell people.
Arizona Wildcraft Entertainment at Gmail.
What is it? Wildcraft?
Arizona Wildcraft Entertainment at Gmail.
It's all the way Arizona. Arizona. I got to type it myself. Wild Craft with a K, right?
Yep. Craft with a K.
Arizona Wildcraft
Entertainment. Nope, K with a K, not a C. And it's just AZ. Hey, I'll give it to you.
AZ.
Jen, do you see me? Jen, do you see me? I'm back.
I do. What happened?
I don't know what happened. I bumped something, But we got Ramina up next. She's here.
Yeah.
You know what?
Here, let me send it to you. Says. I will do it to you because everybody spells my name wrong and everybody spells my company's name wrong. So I got used to it a long time ago.
Is that right, everybody?
Boom. How about that?
AZ Wildcraft Entertainment at G. Okay. Michael, do you see it? Cut and paste that in. Leela, thank you so much for being with us today. You're a lovely friend in the business.
Thank you so much.
I always feel like my brush with stardom when we visit. You've got some amazing advice. You are so generous with the work that you do for the industry. For people who are starting out, for people who want to get into the industry, you've always been extraordinarily supportive, and you're a real activist on behalf of the artists who work in entertainment. And I thank you for that.
Thank you very much. And I would like to have you both on my show too, Arizona Wildcraft News.
We would love to be. You can handle it. And by the way, F you, Carol Baskin.
I don't know what that means.
She knows what that means.
Listen, we've got to have Ramin back because she's got a terrible connection.
Ramin's on right now. Here she is. That was me with the terrible connection.
There's my friend.
Hi.
My friend with her sweet hands. How are you, love?
Good. I'm okay. Sorry, I'm a little bit of a wreck. I wasn't expecting to.
You had a challenging day. Listen, we'll have you back because we've literally run out of time. Yeah. Ramin is the host of her own amazing world of cookbooks. She's an award-winning journalist. She's a chef. She's an author. She's gorgeous. And more than anything else, she is somebody who I asked as my friend in the business to come on and talk a little bit about having difficult conversations and how to make any conversation that's difficult a little bit easier to have when you make some delicious food to have it with. Ramin is, of course, famous for her historical novels, and in her life these days, she also works for the Westport, Connecticut Historical Society and is pioneering in the looks back at some of the culinary traditions historically found.
I saw one of George Washington.
Yes.
Yep.
George Washington had a cook that became well known in his own right, and it's going to be a fascinating conversation. But in her own life, Ramin has had conversations about difficult topics related to race, and I was hoping she'd come on with us to help us feel like we're doing the right thing. And I didn't even know what the right thing was or how to even ask the right question. But she had on her end all kinds of things, including a bad connection. So, Ramin, can we have you back on?
Yes, absolutely. I'm so sorry. It was like, in fact, my whole afternoon was taken up with these conversations, with my work as the executive director of the Westport Museum for History, Westport Historical Society. So apologies, and then the connection, but I would love to. I'd absolutely love to come back.
Is there any one thing that as a mom and as a historian, as a journalist, you can share with us just one thought to get us on a trajectory through the week that could maybe help us all have more of what we need to be kinder and more awoke?
Well, you know, as a historian, what I always talk about is that, unfortunately, not just in America, but around the world, the way history is taught is as points on a factual timeline in the past, which it is. But each step on that timeline is a march toward the present and the future. And it's really important to understand that so that you can empathize with the fact that where people are today is the collective experience of all that came before. And by the way, individuals may not be able to identify that for themselves. They may not personally be able to say, I feel the way I do because of X and X and X and X going back 300 years. But the truth is, they do, right? So you don't have to be able to self-identify that historical fact as what has built your present, but it is there. And I think that as listeners, assume that that's there, and that's the informing fact. And also, I would say, don't assume that people's true anguish relates to you personally. It's not about you personally, right? It's anguish.
Well, that's what I tell people. Don't take the two things. Don't take anything personally and don't assume anything.
That's right.
I tell my kids that. They're like, what? But and they want to argue about it, how it's a whole personal thing. And I'm like, what?
Well, it's part of the 4 agreements. It's not personal.
It's not personal. And I think it's easier for parents, maybe, or it should be, because we learn with our own children. When your child is upset, or especially when they're very little and they can't articulate, or they're having a bad day, the best thing to do as a parent is just to say, I hear you. I'm listening. I'm not judging you. And you may feel like, stop yelling at me, kid. I feel that way with my 14-year-old. Like, why are you biting my head off? But, you have to kind of hold your tongue and understand it's not about you, and just listen, because it's bigger than all of us.
So we're gonna have this juicy conversation with my friend with sweet hands, Ramin Ganeshram, one of my all-time favorite friends from the world of food. I love her books. I love the way she speaks and thinks and writes. I love the way that she makes our world taste delicious through the work that she does with her intention and with her spirit. And for that, I'm enormously grateful. She's here today, and she's going to be back with us later again this week. Because we are going to have this conversation, because it's going to be fascinating. Believe me.
I would love
I may even wear a collar for that one.
You should. You should. And a powder wig.
Should I wear a powder wig?
Yes. Well, no, I won't, but I can. I'll tell you guys how to
just so we know, later on this week, you know who's coming to be with us later on this week? Zarella Martinez is coming to be on with this. Bonnie Meyer is coming from Meyer Family Vineyards from Napa Valley. She has written, and have you read her book?
I feel like
I'll send you all the information. It is such a touching, moving memoir.
Oh,
it sounds like a sensitive week. Is this a Humane Woman Haters Club sensitive week?
Oh, no.
What are you doing to me?
Her husband started the all-time, what I'm going to call, like, I have friends who are athletes and people in the entertainment business, but all my athlete friends love Silver Oak, and their family started Silver Oak Vineyards, which is one of the first superstar Cabernets out of California.
Yeah.
But that's like such a small part of this story. If you know that wine, and the wines they're making today are just as good or even better than the wines that got them on the map in the first place. Wow. We're talking about wine this week. Bartholomew Broadbent is coming on with us this week of Broadbent Selections. Hello.
Nice.
Can I call him Bart? Can I call him Bart? Look at that. Roger Luchan. That's my old roommate in college.
Hey, listen, guys. Thank you so much, Ramin Ganeshram.
Sorry I couldn't be here before.
I hope everything's okay. We'll talk later. Michael.
Thank you, Ramin.
You're welcome.
What a sweetheart.
Right?
Let's have her every day. Can I switch her for you?
Yes.
What?
If you were ever going to do that, you totally want her. She's the best there is.
What about Leela? We didn't get a chance to talk about Leela behind her back. What do you want to say?
I'm not prepared to do that because I am just ready.
You could say good things.
When you get home, listen, hug your kids, count your blessings, cook for your friends, do it with a really good intention, and remember that every tool you cook with is a magic wand that lets the love that you put in the food that you cook for people that you care about flow through to the finished food. Trust me when I tell you.
Oh my God! I need to find the barf emoji. What are you talking? What is going on? You're so sensitive today.
Thanks for watching.
See you tomorrow.